Hello again, we are back for Storytime with Kindale Donkeys, and today we are joined by Denis. I've realised I haven't actually introduced myself in the other videos. My name is Robert. I am the owner of Kindale Donkeys here in Ballynahinch in Northern Ireland. What we do is, predominantly we do therapy, so our donkeys would go to nursing homes and to schools and we would do quite a bit of sort of dementia therapy for the elderly, and we could also work with children to help with anxiety and stress, and we use the donkeys to educate people on donkeys and just on general life as well. Seeing as we're all quarantined, we can't go anywhere, we decided that we would try reading to you through the page, and hopefully that more and more people get to experience the donkeys and enjoy it and get a little bit of at-home therapy. So today we are reading The Donkey on the Sands by Enid Blyton. There's also a few other short stories in here as well, but we will start with the main one today, and we might go through the rest of them later on this week. Tell you about Denis. Denis is he's 23. He would be our oldest donkey here, and he's been here about 17 years, and he has done everything. He has been down to the National Concert Hall in Dublin. He's also been to Stormont, where he took the Minister of Agriculture round. He's gone to many shows, many nursing homes. If there's anything a donkey can do, he has done it. He also was part of a Guinness World Record for the most equines ploughing at the same time, and he was one of the pairs. Enough about him and me, on to the story. The Donkey on the Sands. All the children knew the little fat grey donkey on the sands. He used to take them for rides at a penny a time, and would trot along at a fine pace. I kicked him on when I had my ride this morning, said Jim to the others one day. Goodness, you should have seen him gallop. He went about a mile a minute. You shouldn't have done that to him, said Nora. He's a dear and always does his best. Pooh, you're just a silly girl, said Jim grandly. You don't know how to treat horses and donkeys. My father wears spurs when he goes riding in uniform, and when he wants to make his horse go fast, he uses his spurs. Well, I don't think it's right to hurt animals like that, said Nora, especially things that really do their very best like Neddy. He'll gallop without being kicked on. But the boys thought it was grand to make Neddy gallop, so they all kicked and slapped him when they rode him. The donkey boy didn't like it, but he didn't say a word. It wasn't much good Nora saying anything either, for the boys only laughed at her and teased her. So she tried to make up for their unkindness by bringing Neddy a few tidbits. She brought him a fine carrot, which he ate up in delight. She took him an apple, and he liked that even better. He nuzzled his big nose into Nora's ham whenever the little girl came by. He flicked his ears and shook his tail with pleasure to see her. He was always glad when someone had given her a penny so that she could ride him. The donkey boy liked Nora too, and he gave her a much longer ride for a penny than he gave the others. Denis, please. The others only went to the pier and back, but Nora went right beyond the pier to the breakwater. It was a very long ride. Then the boys began to get cross because Nora had longer rides than they had. It's not fair, they said. If you go as far as the breakwater, we ought to too. It's not fair. Well, you mistreat old Neddy, and I take him carrots and apples, so it's no wonder he likes to give me a longer ride, said Nora. Why don't you ask the donkey boy if you can go as far as I do? He's the one who decides. So that afternoon, Jim went to have a ride, and he said to the donkey boy, I'll go to the breakwater beyond the pier. That will cost you 2p, said the boy firmly, but Jim hadn't got 2p. You let Nora go as far as that for a penny, grumbled Jim. It isn't fair. Well, she's good to the donkey, said the boy. You're not. It serves you right. Now, Jim didn't like to quarrel with the donkey boy, for he was much bigger than Jim was, and he didn't dare to make the donkey go as far as the breakwater in case the boy made him pay another penny which he hadn't got. So he just galloped off angrily, digging his heels into Neddy's ribs. And because he couldn't do what he wanted, he felt very angry with poor Nora. So he made faces at her, pinched her when no one was looking, and said horrid things about her to the others. Nora had had a bad time. John, Peter, Jim and his sister Helen teased her all the time, and she was very unhappy. But the worst time came when they all went bathing one hot sunny morning. Let's get hold of Nora and duck her under, said Jim with a giggle. Come on, there she is out there. We can easily catch her. All right, said John. That'll teach her to have longer rides on Nettie than we do. So the four of them waded out to where Nora was trying to swim. She did so badly want to learn, but it was rather difficult. Every time she took her feet off the sand to try and swim with them, she seemed to go under, and she hated that. She suddenly saw the others wading out to her, and by the look in their faces, she knew they were up to mischief. What are you going to do? She cried. Go away! But they came nearer and nearer, wading up to their waists. Nora could not run away because there were horrid, muddy, sinking sands beyond her, and she didn't dare to wade out deeper because she couldn't swim. Jim caught hold of Nora. He took a quick look round the beach to make sure that no mothers or fathers were watching. No, there was only Nettie and the donkey boy, and they didn't matter. Nora screamed, "Let me go, you horrid boy, let me go!" "Come on, Helen, come on, John, let's all duck, Nora," called Jim, grinning. The little girl pushed him away as hard as she could, but she couldn't push all the others too. They came round her and caught hold of her swimsuit. "Down she goes!" cried Jim, and down she went. How she spluttered and gasped and tried to catch hold of the others. The salt water went into her mouth and tasted hard. She was frightened. "Help! Help!" she called, getting up for a moment, but the others pushed her over again, and she sat in the sand with the water splashing her head. There were no parents who could hear Nora, but there was Nettie. He pricked up his big ears and knew at once that the others were teasing his friend. He shook himself free from the donkey boy's hold and galloped down to the sea. He trotted into the water and brayed loudly. Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. That was just to let Nora know that he was coming to help her. Nettie went right up to the children, put his head into the water and pulled Nora up. The little girl put her arms round him, sobbing. She climbed onto his back and Nettie trotted to the edge of the sea with her, and she got down safely. "Oh, thank you, Nettie," she said. But Nettie hadn't finished his work. Oh no, there was plenty more to do yet. Back he trotted into the sea and went up to Jim, who couldn't get away from the big donkey in time. Nettie caught the boy by the back of his swimsuit and dragged him out of the water. Holding him firmly, he stepped out of the water and took the wriggling Jim to a very muddy patch in the sinking sand. He dropped him in, and there was poor Jim rolling over and over in black muddy sand, trying his hardest to get out. It was not very difficult to get out, really, but you should have seen Jim when at last he stood up and ran to firm sand. He was covered with black mud from head to foot. Nettie hee-hawed, just as if he were laughing. Then he went to fetch John and dropped him in the mud too, and he would have got Helen and Peter, but they ran home. "Oh, Nettie, I didn't think you were so clever," said Nora, squeezing the water out of her hair. "Those boys will never tease me again, and I guess they won't tease you either." They didn't. Nettie had taught them such a lesson that not one of the children dared to tease Nora or hurt Nettie again. Wouldn't I have loved to see him galloping into the sea to rescue Nora? And that's the end of the story. What do you think, Denis? I really enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. We will be posting these onto our new YouTube channel, all our story times. Leave a comment, tell us what you think, tell us what books you want to hear, give us suggestions, things to make it better. Tell us what you thought of Denis, and do you think he liked that story or the other donkeys? Give us your feedback. It's very hard to find out what you guys like and what you want from here. So comments and reviews are brilliant. They're brilliant for us. And then certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good evening. See you tomorrow.